how significant is Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich's distinction between a military effort and a war in the context of Israel's ongoing operations in Gaza?
Greetings to you, and thank you so much for having me. The finance minister is leading very serious efforts that should be highlighted regarding providing finance and funding to the new settlements in the Gaza Strip, which is related to what you're talking about, that currently this man is opening the door for the Israeli people to build new 6 settlements in the Gaza Strip, which is very dangerous. The return of Israeli settlement into Gaza again since 2005 for the first time, which comes in the framework of the Netanyahu efforts to create a new reality in the Gaza Strip, even that is contradicting with the vision of Donald Trump. He's trying to raise time and to take action before the Trump visit to the Arab Gulf in next May. And now we are facing extensive Israeli efforts in the Gaza Strip, even contradicting with the U.S. vision, which is very dangerous, that the diplomatic Arab efforts, especially the Egyptian, should gain new dimensions, especially in communicating with the United States. They should also communicate with different pressure circles to apply more pressure on the Israeli government, which is exactly what Egypt is doing, communicating with the U.S. Congress. And also the visit of the Minister of Foreign Affairs to Washington, he gave more than thought to this dimension in particular.
So what are the possible implications or outcomes of the Israeli Security and Political Cabinet's meeting today on the future course of the war in Gaza?
Again, Netanyahu is trying to impose a new de facto in the Gaza Strip before any settlement is reached by the United States or by the United States and Iran, or even to enhance the Arab-U.S. relations, which will be discussed during the Trump visit to the Arab Gulf. And that's why the Security Council in Israel will try to expedite the Israeli military operation in Gaza and will start a new buffer zone, including the entire Rafah city, and to have a lasting permanent existence in Gaza, which is a thing from the financial aspect. If we're trying to talk about the financial aspect here, the defense minister, the former defense minister, said a couple of hours ago that the military existence in the Gaza Strip is costing Israel about $7 billion annually, which is too much for the Israeli budget. It is an unsuccessful idea and not sustainable to have a sustainable military existence in Gaza. And now we are facing a distinction between what is possible according to Israeli calculation and the delusions, and the delusions Netanyahu is leading right now. Israeli is basically unable to carry out these ambitions, and this will be the end of the Netanyahu government and the Israeli project in Gaza. All of these ideas will fail eventually, and the Israeli war in Gaza will end, either Israel wanted to or not. Eventually, this war will end by the Israeli withdrawal and the failure of the settlement project and the displacement of the Gaza population. And the Egyptian proposition for the reconstruction of Gaza will actually commence, reaching the French-awaited efforts to recognize the Palestinian state in a UN meeting that will be hosted in New York next summer.
Well, what about the Israeli government's decision to expand the military operations in Gaza? Could it lead to further escalation in the region? What are the potential consequences, keeping in mind the financial costs that you've mentioned?
there is this dark comedy or the irony that there are no objectives or goals for the occupation to strike anymore. 5 cities are now completely demolished, so there are no more goals in Gaza to be bombed. There is no more escalations to be taken. Uh, all that is being targeted now are unarmed civilians living in the streets, and there are no walls to protect them from the next summer. All the buildings are now destructed, and all that Israel is trying, or any kind of escalation, is to push Palestinians into the Egyptian-Palestinian borders, hoping to implement the displacement scheme, and they failed over and over. They have tried that for 2 years, and all that's left now, I see that it's gonna be these military operations will end in weeks, not months, and this will end before the Trump visit next May. The Israeli side is only trying to take advantage of the time left.
Mr. Omar, how might the international community respond if Israel officially expands the scope of its military operations in Gaza, considering the previous concerns over civilian casualties, the mass graves, the dozens of medics killed?
The international community and the West is calling the civilization or the values of the West regarding liberty, freedom, resistance, and revolution. They're calling these values, and I don't expect any new stance from the failure of the international community towards the Palestinian cause, and for every free human in Palestine. The U.S. will keep supporting Israel, and they will keep supporting taking the right of the Palestinians and denying the terrorism carried out by Israel. And in all cases, there is nothing to change the reality in Palestine, except with the Arab effort led by Egypt that led us to the ceasefire negotiations. There is a decisive point at the critical time, and we are waiting for a ceasefire agreement once again, and this agreement will include the items agreed upon last January.